This is my latest setup. So I've got two circuits going on simultaneously, both of them having exclusively or strictly to do with silver. So what we've got is this circuit here is running the plate electrodes in the center, these four silver plates. As you can see, four silver plates. And then this circuit is connected from the rear to silver wires on either side of the plates. Let's see if we can zoom in and locate. Well, there's a wire. Can you see it? Let's see. Here, I can see it better this way. So where's my finger? So it's looped silver wire on this side, and on the other side you can see it. So that the current from the two wires is going across these electrodes that are being powered by this circuit here. I got the idea from my failed attempt to make zinc peroxide. Failed in as much as I think it was the wrong way to take zinc, or the wrong way to make it, or whatever. It was something wrong about it. So I'm ceasing it at the moment. So I thought I'd try something new. I got the idea is to have extra electrodes with two separate circuits running in the same batch of water, because that seems to speed up the production of silver on the main electrodes here, thus shortening the session time and putting less strain hence on this, which tends to overheat because I turned up the set screws inside all the way to the right, the four set screws, two blue and two white, the blue and white in the center and a blue and white by the knob here. So I'm a little concerned that I'm going to burn out the circuits, so I thought I'd boost things by having this circuit running through here at the same time across these silver plates. Otherwise everything else is the same. Once this gets done, becoming murky, no zinc, just silver, then I'll take out all the electrodes, take out the gold Krugerrand that's down here, and 10th ounce, and add hydrogen peroxide, 35% strength food grade. Oh no, but first I'll empty this out into a larger container. That's been working out very well. So this is 2 liters of water, and if I pour it into this food container that's 18 quarts and then fill it up so that it's 8 quarts of water, so it's 2 gallons, I've now diluted that beaker by a factor of 4, and I can now pour the hydrogen peroxide in here, and then I take out the Krugerrand, take out the silver electrodes, but I leave the magnetic stirrer inside. In fact, you can see I have 2 magnetic stirrers. One for that batch I'm starting fresh, and then this one from yesterday's batch. Where is it? There it is. There's my little magnetic stirrer sitting there, and you see all the little bubbles. There's the magnetic stirrer and all the little bubbles adhering, and so it's totally clear, no gray mud. There are a few specks though. There's a silver speck right there. Do you see it? So I didn't manage to convert everything. That's the only large one. I see a couple of other small ones. So I'm going to pour this into the bath along with cayenne pepper and horse grade MSM. So I place that container on top of the colloidal silver generator that has the magnetic stirring device. And then I add the hydrogen peroxide, 60 cc's, and that's enough hydrogen peroxide to fully convert all the material because of the larger volume of water, less osmotic pressure for the hydrogen peroxide to remain in solution comfortably without being forced to leave. And then its adequate quantity of hydrogen peroxide to process, to react with all of the silver metallic nano-sized particles and convert them into silver hydroperoxide. So I'm not wasting hydrogen peroxide anymore. I didn't know I was wasting it. I thought, oh, look at all the effervescence. No, I was driving it out of solution because of a high osmotic pressure, a high density of hydrogen peroxide gas that I was expecting to stay in solution, but with the metal there, the silver metal, it all of a sudden wanted to leave. I thought it was reacting with the metal. It was, but it was doing more than that. It was leaving at an accelerated pace, all because it was too confined a volume of water for the hydrogen peroxide to stay there. Now the spent bottles of hydrogen peroxide, the quart size, I decided I'd hold on to them, and it turned out to be very valuable because I got an idea. I've got vinegar. I've got white vinegar, and I've got raw apple cider, Bragg's raw apple cider vinegar, cloudy brown. And so I put my zinc rod that I had previously used trying to make zinc peroxide. I wiped them as best I could dry with a paper towel, and I placed one in each, and then I put white distilled vinegar in one and Bragg's raw apple cider vinegar in the other. And what I want to do is use the white distilled vinegar as my visual check test case to see how the other one is doing, because I can't see it because it's cloudy brown with, because it's raw apple cider vinegar. And I want to see what happens. So, because if I'm going to buy zinc acetate, I can make my own. I can put the zinc rods, they're pure. I know they're pure, but I can put them in a container, plastic in this case, because I don't want the metal to be scratching the glass, and fill it with vinegar and wait and see what happens. And you know what? So far, it's cleaned off the residue, the silver residue that was on them. And so I've got them all cleaned up. So vinegar is a nice way to clean metal. Well, in this case. But that means that that residue is now in solution, and it's probably mostly silver residue. So I'm going to continue to let it sit there to see if I can discolor the white vinegar. If I can, then I know I've done more than clean the electrode, because I can see they're clean now with the help of a flashlight. Let me see if I can show you. Once in a while I like to shake this, to agitate it, and that shakes off debris off the electrodes and gets it into the water. And when it gets into the water, the magnetic stirrer acts like a blender, because it's such soft, fibrous silver material that's coming off but adhering to the electrodes. When it comes off, it breaks apart into smaller particles and disperses and fills up the water and helps to cloud it up, because that's what I'm judging it by visual. When I flash the flashlight, or when I shine the flashlight through it, or the laser light, I want to see how cloudy it is. And I won't see that if all the silver is adhering to the electrodes. So I give it a good shake once in a while, and then reposition the electrodes to straighten them out in case they're not straight. And that helps the process. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see it. See? They're swimming around in there. All the particles I just shook off. Yeah. You can even see possibly, yeah, there's debris on the surface too. And then when I take the, when I'm finished, right, I take the electrodes out, I take them out and I bring them back down, in and out and in. I dip it in the water, and that helps cleanse the electrodes. I don't wipe the electrodes, I just do various agitation techniques to get some of the silver off of the electrodes. And then I drip dry this over the food container that I'm going to use to dilute this into. Where did oh, it's up there. I'll drip dry it over that, and then when it's dry, I'll pour the water into there, add enough water to make 2 gallons. This is only 2 liters. and then I'll add my hydrogen peroxide and put it back under here. Of course, now it has no electrodes on it. I removed the Krugerrand, but I keep the magnetic stirrer. I transfer it into there, and so now I put it there, and so then I just use that as my magnetic stirrer to mix up the hydrogen peroxide, the 60 cc's, to help it mix properly. Well, I wanted to show you I have an interesting anomaly happening here. Do you see the fuzziness on the light-colored plate up in front? Not the dark-colored plate in the middle. See, it even moves. It's like hair growing on the plates. If I disturb the plates, that fur, or whatever you want to call it, will come off and circulate around, but then it'll go back to where it was. And it has an orange tint to it. Now, I have a gold Krugerrand in there, and I'm beginning to suspect that it's not a good idea to have gold in here, because gold, for one thing, is sticky, and it might be creating a gold peroxide or hydroperoxide in the finished product that may cause clogging of the tissues within my physiology and be difficult, or what, impossible to get rid of, I don't know. And as I recall, one of the hazards of gold is greed. It does connect us with cosmic mind, you would think, or represents it. But as we know from the stories of the conquistadors, they sunk plenty of ship in the harbors off of Venezuela and whatnot, the Yucatan, in the Caribbean, when they hoarded so much gold on those ships they couldn't even leave port to go back to Spain. They just sunk right where they were. So I'm suspecting that's why I may have sought the addition of zinc in this formulation process. So I'm going to discard this batch, and I'm going to do another batch of plain water without the gold Krugerrand, and hopefully this adhering thing won't happen, and I'll shake these off before I dump it out. And hopefully I'll do another cleansing session to clean the plates before I use them again, because I think it's been a mistake. So I'm going to take out the gold Krugerrand, clean the plates in another session before I even make another session of silver hydroperoxide, because this is unusual to get this kind of fur. And since it's orange, I know what to suspect, that it might be gold. So that's what I'm going to do. From this angle you can see the orange tinge to the water. It's very obvious looking down through the water. At least it's obvious to me. Well, yeah, the camera's picking it up. It's a bit of an orange tint. So it's pretty obvious it put a lot of gold in here. Probably the gold, you know what I think? The gold prevents the silver from turning black. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. It's just way too much gold. So I'm having the same difficulty as before. Too much zinc, too much gold, possibly too much copper. I should just stick with silver. I don't know what I'm monkeying with. It's such a mistake to veer off course.